다시 만나서 반가워요. 안녕하십니까? So until last lecture, we have studied about Philippines and Korea. So I know you took your exam. How was your exam? Was it difficult? I know some of you guys had very difficult in taking the exam. And one of the question in exam, what were the similarities and differences of Philippines and Korea? Today, we will going to discuss the most painful history of Korea. We will discuss about the country's division. As you all know, Korea is divided into two countries called North Korea and South Korea.
It was a moment for the history books. The first time a sitting U.S. president has met with the leader of North Korea. The road to get here was a long one.
We will have a terrific relationship, I have no doubt.
Old prejudices and practices worked as obstacles on our way forward, but we overcame all of them.
White House officials told Fox News the entire summit was dependent on how the first one-on-one between the leaders would go. After decades of political and rhetorical conflict between the two nations and personal insults they hurled at each other, President Trump says he and Kim Jong-un formed a personal bond.
We're prepared to start a new history, and we're ready to write a new chapter between our nations.
The summit ended with a joint communique, Kim pledging to work toward the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in exchange for U.S. security guarantees.
The world will see a major change.
But missing from the document any language about verification, the nuts and bolts of how the U.S. will ensure that Kim is making good on his promises. President Trump insisted that will all be worked out.
It's going to be achieved by having a lot of people there, and as we develop a certain trust, and we're going to be working with them on a lot of other things, but this is complete denuclearization.
Democrats jumped on the communique as vague and toothless.
Kim Jong-un and North Korea have made commitments in the past that they have not followed. More specific commitments than we've heard during the summit. So you can't take his word for it.
President Trump also heard criticism for his pledge to end U.S.-South Korean joint military exercises, long a thorn in North Korea's side. The president calling them provocative and expensive.
Number one, we save money a lot. And number two, it really is something that I think they very much appreciated.
Recently, there have been events that have attracted the worldwide attention. Trump, the U.S. president, and Mr. Kim Jong-un, the North Korea president, have met. On last April 27, the two summits of South and North Korea have met, and on last June 12, the Philippines Independence Day, the two summits of USA and North Korea have met. The exact name of South Korea is what? It's Republic of Korea, and the name of the DPRK, I think this is my first time to hear this also. It's the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Did you know that? DPRK? Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Very long. So due to the similar English names of two countries, sometimes, very rarely, parcel or delivery package arrives to the wrong place. For our convenience, we will call South Korea and North Korea for the simple name. Now, let us go back to our topic. So, why did they meet? This story actually has to go way back to the World War II to find out the exact cause, and I will handle this later in our topic. At this moment, may I ask a question? Why can't South Korean and North Korean sides solve the issue of the reunification? Why did North Korea and USA president have met? The summit were held by North Korea and US, and the neighboring countries such as China and Russia and Japan are getting tense. So why? Why are they so concerned about our country's unification? Primarily, the reason North Korea and the United States first met is because of the nuclear issue. North Korea is a dictatorship country. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un, these three fatherhood governed the North Korea by hereditary succession despite of not a monarchy country. And North Korea has developed the nuclear as a way to survive in this world. They have chosen the nuclear development rather than the economic development. They have completely isolated themselves from the international society and lied about many times developing the nuclear. And although it is a low level, they have succeeded the development of nuclear. Even at a low level, the power of nuclear is enormous. It's very huge. Since then, North Korea has been making hardline remarks against US with the media coverage. It was only a few months ago that Trump and Kim Jong-un, they're loudly fighting each other, threatening that they have the nuclear power button on their table.
Trump a few minutes ago saying the following. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un just stated that the nuclear button is on his desk at all times. Will someone from his depleted and food-starved regime please inform him that I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works. Your thoughts, Congressman?
Threatening a country with nuclear attack, which is annihilation of literally hundreds of thousands of people, boasting, that's incredibly destabilizing, unimaginably irresponsible, and it just really, you just wonder whether any head of state of any size would do this, let alone the most powerful military in the world. I mean, it really is shocking, but shocking for Trump is just, I don't know, Tuesday.
The nuclear is very terrifying weapon. If each country threatens each other with nuclear weapons, this world will perish. We remember the atomic bomb that fell on Hiroshima, Japan in 1945. The after effects of atomic bomb that have fallen on the Japan has been going for 70 years until today. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, was created under the auspices of United Nations to prevent the use of nuclear power for military purposes and to only use it for peaceful purposes. And each country promised to not to develop the nuclear weapons at will. And this promise is called the Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT. However, North Korea has continued to develop nuclear weapons to maintain their own system. As a result, the United States and North Korea became very hostile, unfriendly. Fortunately, the North and American summit was concluded, setting back the worries of the rest of the world. Yesterday's enemies met today and shared a handshake for reconciliation. The Korean Peninsula is still in a war right now. Actually, the bombers do not come and go, but the armies of both sides are confronted with each other across the armistice line. It is called the armistice in the sense that the war is not yet over, but just resting or having a break on the war. The line that separates North and South Korea is called Armistice Line, and in South, U.S. troops are stationed to protect and prepare for the attack of the North Korea. It is true that the U.S. military keeps Korea safe, but there have been many problems caused by the military of U.S. in Korea. However, we cannot punish the U.S. military in Korea for their crimes or even if they murdered Koreans due to the treaties the two countries have signed. And also, we have to pay a lot of money for the U.S. military and we must buy many weapons from the United States. Sometimes we even have to buy weapons that are not necessary. As we discussed last time, all Korean men over 20 years old are mandatory to serve as military for about 2 years. Occasionally, there is actually a collision and firing of weapons caused the area aside North Korea. Many people, many whom could not stand the dictatorship of the North Korea regime, are escaping through China. They sometimes fail the escape and be killed or forcefully returned to North Korea and be taken to the labor camp. After the successful escaping of the North Korean defectors, we call them defectors, or the North Koreans who have escaped to South Korea, they continuously with anxiety whether their families they left in the North are alive or safe. So why? The country was divided into two countries, the South and North Korea. The story dates back to the World War II. Before the Second World War, Russia and China are having war against Japan to take over South Korea. It was a battle of who would occupy Korea. At the battle against China and Japan, Japan has won. And also at the battle against Russia and Japan, Japan has won. So, the Korea or eventually becomes Japanese colony. From this point, Russia wants to put Korea into buffer state. Particularly, they wanted to make North Korea a buffer zone that Russia and Japan or Russia and United States do not need to fight directly. And when Japan loses after the World War II, a meeting was held about what to do with Korea. Since the America won the war between America and Japan, America should dominate Korea. But at that time, Russia, which was called Soviet Union or Union of Soviets of Socialist Republics, USSR, had a strong power. The Soviet Union and the United States held a joint meeting and concluded to share the Korea by dividing 38 parallel from north latitude, ruling the Soviet Union in the north side and the United States in the south side. Since then, governments have been established in North Korea and South Korea, and conflicts between South and North Korea have grown. The problem occurred in 1950. It was on the dawn of June 25, 1950. There was a Korean War in which North Korea invaded South Korea unexpectedly. China continued to fight with North Korea, and US and other allied forces fought with South Korea. The Philippines also participated in the Korean War as a member of Allied forces. As the war continued with no end of sight, both sides agreed to armistice in 1953, and the armistice has continued until this day. So that was the summary of the division of the Korea into two countries, the North and the South, which is continued until today. Before and after the North American Summit, the previous leader of North Korea made 3 times visits to meet the Chinese President Xi Jinping. It's not a bad word. His name is Xi Jinping. And President Moon Jae-in of South Korea, currently a ruling president now, also meets President Trump of the USA and keep touch closely. Russia and Japan cannot be ignored when discussing the issues of South Korea and North Korea. In some of these countries may want North Korea and South Korea to continue fighting. There will be many people who will benefit only if the South and North Korea continue to fight and be weakened. South Korea and North Korea use the same language and are the same nation and have the same history. And the whole world can be in peace as South and North Korea are in peace. Well, the summit are still in the fire, but the achievement of the North American Summit is reconciliation and peace. And I sincerely pray and hope that this peace mood will not be broken.